Hey there peeps, it's Dan with another RWBY episode review and analysis, as last week we got Welcome to Beacon. I will also be quickly going over several things that Monty himself chatted about in an interview on AfterBuzz TV's reaction show to the episodes, that I will link to the description down below. With that said, here's the spoiler warning, so if you haven't seen the episode or any of the previous volume, then do so now or I will sick Nora on you. We open with Atlas airships flying in as students make their way to the school grounds, to which Ospin and Glinda, looking on, don't quite approve of. This being the actions of Mr. White, who in the trailer analysis of mine, I speculated was either Weiss's dad or a member of the Schnee group. But nope, I was wrong, so I guess that's 2-1 in terms of my speculation guesses. In fact, Mr. Metalbrow here turns out to be our resident Tin Man. James Ironwood, to be exact, headmaster of the school in the Kingdom of Atlas and general of its army. From their interactions, it seems that Ironwood, Ospin and Glinda are familiar with each other, though if through being the ones in control of their respective schools or through past experiences, that isn't really known. And while they do seem respectful of each other, except maybe Glinda, who kinda brushes off Ironwood and leaves, a reaction judging by Ironwood himself seems to be common, the two headmasters don't seem to agree on their actions regarding the White Fang and the incoming threat, to which Ironwood calls a war. Crow, Ruby's uncle, gets mentioned, who seems to be the one detailing a lot of information amongst their circle, to which Ironwood feels that they need to prepare for the threat to come, thus the numbers he brought with him, and why he came to Vale when most headmasters don't tend to travel to the hosting academy for the festival. Ospin, however, says that they're in a time of peace, and that the festival is an occasion to celebrate said peace and unity, and keep morale high. That any showings of force will give off the wrong impression, and threaten that peace with scaring the populace, and saying that they must be tactful in their approach, and continue to do their job to train the next generation of huntsmen and huntresses. It's clear that these two, while opposing the other's plans, they are on the same page, as it seems with both at least accepting there is danger ahead, just with Ospin hoping that his students wouldn't have to be called into action to stop it, and Ironwood believes that his best intentions might be to have that show of force. The aforementioned students are in the school's library, where we see the RWBY girls, well, kind of 3 of them at least, are immersed in the show's mix of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Risk. It's bonkers and more the show's version of comedy, and even in the absurdity of it all, seeing the two sisters interact, it's all rather charming. Plus, we see the return of the evil monologue version of Weiss, well before Yang shoots her down and starts cradling a sobbing Ruby. Plus, as we'll see later on, it's also a set piece that adds to Blake's inner conflictions and feelings, so it's comedy with an actual purpose inside the bigger picture. Plus, the visual directing in the scene plus the quips from Nora and Ren in the background are very high positives for me. Speaking of said Team Juniper members, unlike last episode, we get some dialogue from them where not just do we see that Jean and Weiss are bantering, but we also get that the boys' team has been disclosed on Blake's secret, which is nice as the two teams are quite close, so we do see some cross-team friendship there with a secret, though no word if this was with Blake's permission, but knowing her and the friendship that they do have, I do expect that she's okay with it so long as Jean manages to keep his trap shut in public earshot. Sun and Neptune make another appearance with the blue-haired boy being properly introduced to the others, and through him reacting to being called a nerd by Sun, with trying to call himself something more flattering, it seems like he could be a rather tech-savvy dude as well as a very suave one. So much so that we see him flirting with the Ice Queen, that he actually does one better than Jean with some actual success, much to his displeasure. Sun tries to strike up a conversation with Blake, but she heads off to her room, clearly with a lot on her mind, like a chat that she had with Ospin after the fight at the shipping dock in the last volume. Before I dissect the two's words, from Ospin we actually get some new info in the school's entry exam that clears up some questions that I had. It turns out that Beacon has a tough and rigorous entry exam, so much so that many students train at various combat schools like RWBY with Signal for a few years in preparation, though some don't and only a rare few still manage to pass. So this plays into both Blake and Jean. Blake clearly didn't go to any combat school or the like before attending Beacon, due to her past with the White Fang, yet she still managed to pass and be accepted, so that's cleared up my confusion on how she got in. Plus it explains how Jean got in with only the fake papers that he mentioned to Pyrrha in the past, so that helps my confusion there. Getting back to Ospin and Blake's discussion, we find out that Ospin is very aware of Blake's secret, and is curious as to why she still hides herself. She tells him that while he may be able to accept that she's a faunist, and in turn the others are, many others aren't so willing to do the same, and that while some are trying to help such discrimination die out, she feels that the steps taken aren't enough to lose the beau just yet, wanting to be seen more for who she is as a person and not what her race is, something I feel that many viewers might be able to relate to. Of course, Ospin still does want to help, be it as a headmaster or as a huntsman. He wants to aid those in need and tries to get Blake to reveal anything she wishes to that might help the issue with the White Fang. Even when denied as such, he still does leave the door open to Blake to speak to him should the need arise. This scene does a lot for these two for me as characters, and of course we see Blake's feelings with regards to her identity and signs of her past haunting her, plus we see strong signs of Ospin's care for his students, which goes a long way to help him as an aiding figure to the others, and not just being a mysterious Dumbledore-esque teacher behind the scenes. From one great scene to another as Blake gets a stern telling off from Weiss and gets to finally vent her feelings out. This is another wonderful scene of emotional drama, as not only is said feelings of Blake finally out, but we also see Weiss have some real growth from the rude and immature girl that she was in Volume 1, as she takes the promise Blake made to her to let her friends know when stuff is wrong very seriously. Also, she goes very animated here, which I've seen some people not like or find a bit out of character for her, but I actually found quite funny. Okay, yes, it's weird, it's definitely weird for her, but it's also not the first time that she's acted a little goofy, what with, it's a combat skirt and all. I get the feeling the social outcast she was herself as a stuck-up princess type is starting to melt with her time spent with others, especially RWBY. And it's good to see that she's more socially active, and allowing to let her hair go down. Phoenix Wright pointing aside, we get Blake's fears at last brought to light, as she feels confused as to how others can be as they are, and so calm, when they know that Torchwick and the White Fang are having some plan that is someday going to be unleashed, and that even though they've seen the threat is near, they're not doing anything about it, despite the fact that Ospin has said that the other huntresses and huntsmen, plus the police, will handle it. This though hasn't calmed Blake's worry, that they don't know the White Fang like she does, and that they need to do something about it now. I completely get and understand her fears, and I'm so glad that it didn't take 3 episodes or more for this outburst to come. It was clearly the kicker to Team RWBY trying to stop the bad guys, and if it took more episodes of it seeing a sullen Blake and everyone else not mentioning about it or the White Fang, I think it would have been a bit too much wasted time, and the mood of Blake and the others alongside the White Fang's actions would have gotten a bit old. Weiss again makes her own feelings known, and that even with knowing that the team is good, that she feels they aren't ready for this, which again is also understandable from her side. Yes, Yang took out a nightclub full of goons, which is confirmed to be before the first episode, and RWBY stopped the robbery, plus all their previous battles. The fact is, they're still students, with not knowing exactly what the White Fang have planned. They don't know how strong their foes are, which is also the reason that Blake retorts that they might not ever be ready if they don't act now, when maybe they will be too late trying to wait to graduate. This wins over RWBY, and Yang seems to like Blake's feisty side, so Bumblebee shippers enjoy, and even Weiss steps up and gives in the end. So it seems like next episode we will see the girls plan their next step. I say that because when dashing out to grab a game from the library, RWBY runs into the dramatic reveal of the episode, where not just Emerald and Mercury are posing as exchange students arriving at Beacon for the festival, but also, and very surprisingly, Cinder is too, ending on her piercing glare as the trio walk on by. So, Emerald, Mercury, and Cinder have implemented themselves at the school as students from Haven. Several things here though. 1. Neptune said that he's from Haven, so what's the situation there? Will RWBY mention it to him, and what will he say? And of course Tumblr and folks make quips about Cinder's age. She's definitely older than the RWBY girls, so I assumed that she's placed herself as a senior student. I'll touch on this later though. Of course the question that really takes interest is, what does Cinder's plan mean involving Beacon? Will Phase 2 be an attack from the inside? Maybe she'll blame the damage on Haven and cause conflict. With that aside, we go into my summary of positives and negatives. And honestly, I don't have many negatives here. Just a few notes, I think. Firstly, while the animation again is a major strong point, and again a big step up from Volume 1, there are some niggle bits here, and also Ruby's little bit when suggesting that the girls all work on stopping the White Fang. I'm kinda distracted by the shading in her eyes. Again, it's just an animation thing that I'll be fine with in the future, but it just threw me a little and kinda took me out of the immersion. Like I said, some animation bits here and there are a little bit funny, but it's only on real deep examination and kind of rare. Other than that, I again can't think of anything much negative about the episode that won't be just people's different opinions on how the humor was. So, I'll jump to the positives, which is much larger. For one, the music is wonderful again. And I know that's a common positive, but it has to be praised here. There's no battle music this time, but we get some very quirky tunes for the library scene. But the big points are two very well designed atmospheric pieces during the scene with Ospin and Blake and Team RWBY chatting in the room. It really added to the sense of drama and the serious of what was the characters saying, which is another strong suit. It also adds to the drama. The voice work is also enjoyable, and this episode's major props for voice work go to Shannon as Ospin for how well he brought out Ospin's concern, and Aaron as Blake in a very convincing and strong emotional outburst. And, as mentioned before, a very charming and well-directed scene in the library amongst the very well-made scenes make this another good episode in this volume already. With that and the episode analysis done, I'm gonna let you all leave the video now. This has been another enjoyable episode for me, and the volume keeps getting stronger, so bring on the third episode. I'll see you all next time, and if you have any opinions or comments, you've got that comment box down below to share as such. Till then,